Hey guys, Nick here again with Bishop Lifting. Welcome back. This is part 6 of our Rigging Essentials series, and today we're going to talk about rigging blocks. There's a lot of different types, and we're going to delve into kind of the world of rigging blocks and how to choose the right one for your application. So stick around, it's coming up next. Might be easiest just to start with some common questions about blocks. So for example, why are some blocks called snatch blocks? Why are some blocks really expensive when they look just like another block that's very similar? And which block might be right for your application? So these are questions that we can answer in part. The last one, of course, could be a little tricky because we can't cover every block today, but we'll do our best to kind of hit the highlights and talk about the most important and popular ones. So to start with, let's talk about snatch blocks. Easily the most popular #1 type of block that we sell. On my left are two kind of prime examples of what a snatch block looks like, usually outfitted with a hook or a shackle on top. You can see that there's a pin on the top. This pin is removable, which allows the side plates to come apart, and that allows for line insertion at any point along your wire rope or soft rope, whatever you're running through your particular snatch block. Now on that point, these are designed for wire rope by default. If you're gonna run soft rope or any synthetics through these blocks, really inspect them carefully, make sure there's no burrs, make sure the shivs are in really good shape, because the slightest gouge or deformation on the side plates or on the shiv, the part that actually rolls is called the shiv, not the pulley. Any deformation in there could easily rip apart any synthetics that are running through. So again, that reference to snatch block really just means that by allowing you to insert the line at any point, you can snatch the line with the block, or conversely, some people think it's more about being able to snatch a load quickly and easily. These blocks are relatively small. You can see I can just pick them up by hand. So they're kind of easy to pack around and easy to deploy. So these two examples are single shiv snatch blocks, which are far and away the most popular, but there are double and even triple shiv versions of blocks like this. So depending upon what you need, we probably have a block for that. So when and how are these blocks used? Well, one really common application is just winching. Could be off-road, could be a commercial application, doesn't really matter. But these blocks are often used to either increase the capacity of your winch, so to increase the line pull as people call it, or to redirect the line pull. So maybe this block is slung off of a tree, so you have a strap going around a tree with a shackle on the end going through this block. And that can allow you to change the line pull. So maybe if there's an obstacle between you and the object you're trying to winch, you can redirect your line to get to that object. Now I mentioned price earlier. What makes one block really expensive compared to one that's more affordable? Well, these two blocks are a good example of that. So this one here is Crosby McKissick. This one here is made by Durabuilt. Both look to be high quality blocks, and in fact, they are both pretty solid blocks. This one is imported, so made overseas. This one's made here in the USA. That alone is going to dramatically change the price point of the block. There are also some additional traceability and cert related issues that come with these blocks, and kind of a baked in performance guarantee, as well as a trade name in the industry. So a lot of you might not be familiar with Durabuilt, especially as a block manufacturer, but most of you, if you've been in the rigging world, you know the Crosby McKissick name. It's been around forever. It's easily the most common and in-demand block in the industry. So I had shown earlier that these two are kind of the quintessential examples of snatch blocks. This one in the middle could kind of be called a snatch block. Technically on our site, you're gonna see it referred to as a yarding block. I think it's just an old trade name that kind of stuck with it. Some of our customers knew these as toggle pin blocks for the simple reason that on the top, you have this toggle pin type of setup, and that pin has to rotate like so, and then you have to push it out of the way in order to open the top bail. So once you do that, the bail swings open, the line guard, which is this piece, also comes open. And now you can insert your wire rope anywhere, again, along the point of your line. So you don't have to insert from the end of the wire rope. You can insert the wire rope at the midpoint if you needed to. These are a really popular option. Yes, they are an imported option. They're pretty cost effective, but they're also really popular. This particular one is galvanized, but we also offer these in a painted version as well. On the table to my right here, I've got this really small block. Check that, not a block. This is a pulley. So I only have this on the table to make that example really quick and delineate, at least in terms of our inventory. And when you're shopping on lifting.com, this is going to be classified as a pulley, not a block. and these will be classified as blocks, not pulleys. So generally, these small compact units are thought of as pulleys. They are used primarily with synthetic rope, although you can get cable versions of these. Generally, they're used for soft rope. So small compact options like this are not really blocks, so we'll move that one out of the way. This one is technically a block, although it's an arborist block. So what makes it different? Well, one, it's made of aluminum, so much lighter. Aluminum dissipates heat pretty well. If you're packing this up into a tree, you want lightweight, but you still need the strength. And so a premium block like this from ISC gives you a little bit of both. This one is designed for 5/8, and the shivs are color coded to help you identify which block goes with which rope. So if you're curious or looking for an arborist block in particular, we're not gonna spend a ton of time on that in this video, but go to our site. You can go to the arborist and tree gear section and check out blocks, or you can go to the blocks and pulleys section and check out arborist blocks there as well. So another really popular block for us is something that we would call a logging block. Now again, I'm from the Northwest, and up here, being in the logging country, we think of this primarily as a logging block. Some of you might know it as a Tommy Moore block. A block like this is just kind of referred to as a rigging or a rig up block. In fact, that's Skookum's designation, is a rig up block. So climbers will actually bring these up into trees to create lift. Even though they're super heavy, they'll pack them up there anyway. That's a common application for a block like this. It has a really wide throat, as you can see, and that allows for rigging to pass through. So if you're running haywire or straw line through this block, you have room for the rigging to get through. Now this block is also really popular in the marine and utility industries, so by no means is it strictly a logging block, but in terms of how we classify them on our site, that's where you'll find them. Now this block, as big and beefy as it might seem, is still only made for 3/8 to 1/2 inch wire rope, so that wide throat that you have between the side plates, again, that's really just for passage of additional rigging. They do make bigger versions, including a R8 and an R10, and even some larger blocks like a 508 or a TM10 that are similar in profile, yet larger in scale. And those blocks are also available on our site. So check those out if you need something even bigger than this. One other thing I'll point out about this block that is a little bit different than this yarding block that I showed earlier is this yarding block has the piece in the middle, which is called the line guard. And that's meant to keep your wire rope from jumping up off of the block up into the yoke and getting fouled. The reason a block like this has no line guard is because it's a lift block by design. So the line is always going to be going down on both sides because it's simply adding lift. So there is no line guard on this block. It's kind of purpose-built, purpose-driven, a little bit different design than a more conventional block. So on our site, another type of logging block that you'll see is a haulback block. So again, just navigate to blocks and pulleys and you can filter down to a logging block option. So a haulback block is going to be a bigger block, which I don't have it on the table today because I kind of ran out of room, but it's a big block and it has larger side plates and a larger shiv diameter. And a block like that's usually going to go like out at the end of the rigging, so tied off to a stump, and the haulback's going to run through that block. So we have different options for logging specific products on our site in terms of blocks. This type, a rigging block or a haulback block, are going to be the main two that you see. So kind of like this R6 example, haulback blocks are not totally unique and specific to the logging industry. Generally though, they are used at the ground level, so they will have a line guard. That's kind of one big difference between this rig up wide throat block and a haulback block. So crane blocks are really their own special variety. I don't have any in here because frankly, crane blocks are usually very large. I couldn't lift them by hand, but we do have options on our site. Two of the popular brands are again going to be Crosby McKissick and Rope Block. So when you're on our site, again, go to blocks and pulleys, click on crane blocks on the left-hand side, and you'll see very specific blocks built for cranes. I won't spend a lot of time getting into crane blocks and exactly how to shop for one because most people probably aren't in the market for them. If you are, then you probably have an idea of what you're looking for. If not, some popular factors could be like your wire rope size, the working load limit, the shiv diameter, and the cheek weight. What am I talking about with cheek weight? So a typical block like this just weighs whatever it weighs. It's however the manufacturer makes it. But when you're choosing a crane block, you might want additional cheek weight, meaning weight on the side plates of the block, in order to increase the weight to keep your line taut. So there are some different factors that you want to look at when you're trying to choose a crane block. It might be best just to give us a call at 800-442-7454, or again, navigate to lifting.com, go to contact us, fill out the form, and one of our sales reps can get back to you with some help. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video, there's no way we could cover all the different types of blocks and their intended uses. So just to kind of highlight a few alternate blocks that didn't make the list today, you could be talking construction blocks and cargo blocks, manila rope blocks. Those are just a few, and you will see them on our site. So we kind of try to have blocks for every industry, but just know that if you're looking for a specialty block, we probably have it available. One other thing that's kind of unique about Bishop Lifting is that as the largest rigging company in the US with a big geographical footprint, we have experts in almost every industry. So whether you're in logging or marine or mining, theatrical, whatever type of application you find yourself in, if you need help consulting on rigging blocks or any other type of rigging or even fall protection and safety gear, reach out to us because we probably have an expert somewhere near you that can be of assistance on your project. So earlier we referenced price points and imported blocks like these two or a USA block and how much that can change the market price of the block. But something else to consider is the material that is on the inside of the sheave, where the sheave pin goes through. You can have really cheap bushings, higher quality bronze bushings, or you can have roller bearings, or in some blocks even Timken bearings. So the type of bearing that allows your sheave to spin freely can really help dictate the price of the block. Now, this one again is one of our most popular types, the yarding block, as you'll find it on our site. And these actually have roller bearings and they're greasable, so they roll really nice. And even when they start to bind up a little bit, usually you can pump them full of some lube and get them running again. So a typical bronze bush block versus a bearing block could really drive up the price depending upon what you're looking at. So in particular, like a Crosby product, there's so many of them out there that people are usually looking for repair parts. And one of the common things you'll see, if this were a Crosby version on the snatch block, is this latch. So we do offer latches for all of the blocks that we sell, especially the ones from Crosby. And depending upon the size of the block, you might have options. So you could have a simple flipper spring-loaded latch, or you could have one of Crosby's heavier duty PL latches that you need. We have those available on the site as well. So if you have a block that has a hook and no latch, let us know, we can help you out. So I think I've made it pretty clear that blocks are an indispensable rigging product, and that's why we chose them for the 6th part of our Rigging Essentials series. Hopefully you guys found this video useful. If you're shopping for blocks, if you're looking for something basic for off-roading, or even if you're looking for something heavier duty on a commercial job site application, let us know, we can help you with it. If you got anything out of this video, again, give us a like, leave a comment, share the video. We certainly appreciate the interaction. And as always, we'll see you on the next one.